everyone, welcome back to another Beyblade Burst Turbo unboxing, and today we are going to be taking a look at a couple bays which I don't actually own yet. That's why I'm going to be opening them up for you. I've had quite a few issues with postage at the moment, so I've got nothing coming in, so I've been down the shops and tried to find at least one product that I don't own yet. So I came across this, and I do have the Hypersphere version of this Morrigna bay right here, but I do not own the Turbo version, so I thought I'd grab it and do unboxing with him today. And I haven't been putting out much lately, so I need to put something out there. And yeah, we've got ourselves Tornado X Yegdrion Y4 and Morrigna M4 for this upload. And let's start off here with our packaging. And geez, that purple on that Morrigna looks so nice. I think that's quite a lot nicer than our Hypersphere Morrigna. And then our Tornado X Yegdrion, which I'm not too much of a fan of him for so many different reasons. But anyway, let's go over to the back now for our parts listing. So on the left, we have our Tornado X and his energy layer there, which is a right spinning layer. He's a bounce type of bay as well. And we've got his forge disc, D50 or the 4 forge disc, and down to his performance tip, which is the Slingshock version of Fusion. So Fusion S, TB01S for those who are interested. And then we've got our Slingshock performance tip stat here. So it's got 3 for power and 3 for its speed. And then the overall performance of the bay is 2 for attack, 2 for burst, 2 for defense, 4 for weight, 4 for agility, and 7 for stamina. And then over to our Morrigna M4, which is a defense type. His energy layer is a right spinner as well. His forge disc D47 or the 2 forge disc, which is one that you come across quite often with this Turbo series of bays. And then his performance tip, which is the Slingshock version of Loop. So really interested in checking that out, or TB08S. So his Slingshock performance tip has 4 for power and 2 to speed, and then overall for performance, 0 for attack, 0, I think that's the first time I've actually seen a 0, 0 for burst, defense, right up there on 10, and weight 8, 2 for agility, and 3 for stamina. So that'll be it for our packaging. Let's get this thing opened up. So there we are. Everything is out of the packaging, and let's start firstly with our Tornado X here. So here is our energy layer of Tornado X Yegdrion, and I've got to say it is really thin. Like, yeah, I almost feel like you could just break it by applying a bit of pressure, which I'm definitely not going to do. But yeah, it says it's a bounce type, so you can see there is a bit of defense to its design. You might get a small amount of extra knockback because of its shape. It's got this kind of like egg shape to it there. It's not completely rounded. So yeah, might increase the attack with that. And then the colouring, so we've got that like hypnotic swirl going on there, um, but it doesn't really help the rest of the features stand out too much. It's kind of taken over the bay and well, the energy layer, and then that green in the center doesn't really suit too much. But anyway, it is what it is. I'll flip him over, and you can grab the QR code there underneath if you'd like, and we'll move on because we'll try and get through this rather quickly. So he's got the 4 forge disc, and yeah, it's really not a bad forge disc. I think it's rather quite good. It's halfway decent with its weight. It's sort of built for stamina bays, and it pairs well with attack and defense types. Also, we do have the ability to stick a frame on it, so that's always good. And yeah, that's it for that. Let's move on to our performance tip. Hey, so our performance tip is Fusion S, and they've done a pretty good job with this. We've seen this before with another double pack, but anyway, we'll go over it again. And they've done a pretty good job of imitating Fusion with it. The tips are pretty much exactly the same. It's got that little bit of plastic protrusion to it, just a little small nub there, if you will. Right on the end of it, and then the design, we've got all those grooves in the right spot and stuff. So yeah, looks the part. And then we've got the Slingshock mode, of course, which I'll just show you right now how to activate that. So you can use your thumbnail on this bit of a lip here down the side and give it a little push, and you hear it click out, and then you can lift it up and same direction, so pushing forward again, and it'll lock into place. There we go. It gives us a nice large flat surface to carry us around that Slingshock stadium, and gives a decent amount of movement. And then obviously to deactivate, just back the opposite way, so and down and click into place. There we are. So that'll be it for this bay. Let's piece him together, and we'll have a feel of just how good those slopes are before we move on to Morrigna. Let's piece all these parts together now, and here we go. Focus camera. There we are. And oh, yeah, moves fairly freely along those slopes. It's probably not the best grip. I would give that probably below average, honestly, for those slopes. And I've seen, like, it feels sort of the same as the last Fusion S. Bay with Fusion S, its slopes weren't the best either. I don't know whether it's the layer or whether it's the grip the performance tips provide, because that does change when you do swap some of these performance tips around. Some grip better than others, so it might be a thing with Fusion S, not the actual energy layer. Anyway, and geez, that feels so light. Let's grab my weight system here. I had so I want to weigh up Morrigna a little bit. Alright, there we are. Let's get him on there. 33.69. Yeah, that's not that heavy really. And that's probably mostly coming from the forge disc itself, so 21.05. Yeah, that's a decent chunk of the bay's weight. And wow, 7.25. That is a light energy layer. Okay, well, that'll be it. And let's get our Morrigna out. I'm just struggling to even get this on now. Forget about that. All right, Morrigna. And here it is, our energy layer for Morrigna, and this thing is super thick. You probably heard me mention this when I did my unboxing of the Hypersphere one, but if you haven't, yeah, is a massively thick energy layer, and actually can get caught up on launches a little bit because of that reason, because the outsides here stick up quite a bit. So there has been issues with that happening, But yeah, our design there, that hawk or eagle or whichever it is, I keep forgetting there, that little symbol there in silver, and then we've got the heads surrounding the bay, and that purple. Yeah, huge fan of that purple, and it's see-through as well, so you can see a bit of that black underneath, and then we've got the yellow striping there. The design very rounded and just small drop-in points, lots of deflective curved surfaces, but small drop-in points to give us that little bit of defense. And let's flip him over because we've got that QR code there, and you can grab him for yourself on the app. And yep. So yeah, really big fan of Morrigna and its design. And next up, we've got our forge disc. And we've got the two forge discs. So which is pretty funny because this is the same forge disc we do get with Saturn, and yeah, it has the same combo. So we get the loop with Saturn, and we've got the two forge disc with him as well. And honestly, it's been said, and I quite agree that Marina is a pretty good stand-in for Saturn with its design. Obviously, it doesn't have the rollers, but if Saturn was a solid bay and didn't have the rollers itself, it could be almost a twin to Morrigna. Okay, and yeah, so our two forge disc, it's not as heavy as the four we got with the Yegdrion, but it's still a pretty staple bay. It comes with quite a few different Beyblades from this series, and yeah, well bounced, average amount of weight, and then we've got ability for a frame, which, as I just mentioned before, is always good, and that'll be it for that. And we've got our performance tip, which I'm really interested in checking out next. So here we are, the last part for this upload, our Loop S performance tip. And if you are unfamiliar with Loop, it does have these free spinning wheels either side, which in the anime actually had a huge effect on the way the bay performed, but in actual reality it doesn't do too much for it. It might provide a little bit of life after death, but other than that, you won't get the movement that you see these things produce in the show. And yeah, I've got the original here, so looking very similar, but they did flatten off that area around the tip itself, and made it quite a bit wider with that adding of the Slingshock mode, or the section that gives you the Slingshock mode. So it used to be, curved down there, and yeah, didn't have such a large surround to that tip, but yeah, as I just said, that is because of the Slingshock mode being added in, which I'll show you how to activate that now. So just same as that Fusion S, just give it a little twist forward and you'll hear it click, and then lift it up. It doesn't lift up anywhere near as far as Fusion S, and then yep, click forward again to lock it into position, and there we go. And that tip there sinks in, and we get like a bit of a hollow center now, and we just run on that surround. So yeah, going to be interesting to see how that goes in the stadium, and also how these loop rings actually affect the bay in Slingshock mode. Might actually cause a little bit of interference, I'm thinking. But anyway, I want to grab out that weight machine real quick too, and we'll just quickly weigh up, yeah, there we go. So just quickly weigh him up. What have I pressed there? So there we are, and we'll get that on. So 5.84 for the original and 5.89. Oh, okay. 9, 4, 5.83. What's going on there? 5.89. Yeah, so not a huge difference. So yeah, a little heavier with that one and our Morrigna. Let's quickly weigh him up. 11.63. Wow, that's massive, massive energy layer, especially compared to Yegdrion, which was so incredibly light. All right, let's piece him together and have a feel of those slopes before we do our little test launch. Let's get all those parts together, and there we go. Why am I struggling with this? Here we are. Wow. Well, there's some nice resistance there initially and running along the slopes too. Geez, that's quite an improvement on, like, honestly, the Hypersphere version. Its slopes aren't as good as that. And so they might come down to just the performance tip itself. I doubt they changed the slopes on the energy layer. So yeah, that is above average for those. So some nice burst resistance. And one quick final weight check here while it is together. And I did turn that off, so I have to turn that back on. And here we go. Overall weight, 38.47. So that's nice and heavy. Sweet. Okay, let's grab out the stadium. We've got our stadium set up. We're not even going to set up the lights for this. It's going to be nice and quick. Let's start off with out that Slingshock mode activated and Yegdrion first up. And 3, 2, 1, let it rip. And kind of messed up that launch a little bit, but we're all good now. And that hypnotic swirl that he has on his energy layer there doesn't even come into play. It's just one big grey blur with that green dot in the center there. As I said, not my favorite bay. Anyway, seems like that Forge Disc is doing it some justice there, giving it a decent amount of stamina. All right, well, let's put a stop to that. He's going to run for a good amount of time, and we're in our Slingshock mode. And 3, 2, 1, let's rip once again. And wow, it's actually slipping quite a bit on that stadium, so not getting some good movement. Let's try that again. I'll launch it further up. There we are. Wow, and we're going to self ring out. Okay, one last try. One last try for you, Yegdrion. And another self ring out. Well, that does not bode well. Alright, Morrigna up next. Alright, finally Morrigna's turn, and starting off, of course, without that Slingshock mode active. And 3, 2, 1, let's rip. And that bit of a flat surround to that tip, making some contact there on entry, but we've smoothed off nicely. And that weight of the bay carrying it well, giving it a really good amount of stamina. So yeah, it's going to be going for a while. And alright, well, that'll be enough for that mode. And we'll switch him into that Slingshock one real quick. There we are. And we'll see how he travels now. See if those little rings there actually interfere. And 3, 2, 1, let's rip again. So, okay, well, didn't really interfere at all, did it? That's good to know. That might be a little bit different in some other stages, but in this one, yeah, it did quite well. Well, that'll be it for this upload, folks. I definitely recommend picking up this double pack for basically Morrigna itself, because yeah, it's definitely a decent bay, those slopes, and yeah, its performance tip are going to make it pretty formidable as an opponent, and especially with the Turbo series. And I hope you liked the video. Till next time, enjoy the rest of your day.